So thanks for coming. Um, my name's Ian Cousin. So my day job, I lead the research software engineering group at Princeton, but I'm here in the capacity of being the chair of the steering committee of US-RSE. We thought this would be a nice tradition to get into, of having a general meeting where we can update everyone on what's been happening, not just behind the scenes, but also if you aren't keeping up to what's been going on day to day and what some of the short and long term plans are, for the organization. So I know many of you are new. I'll show some graphics later, and haven't really heard this before. So where did this come from? How did it start? I thought it'd be nice to give just a couple-minute intro on kind of where this movement began. Uh, May be familiar. It really started in the UK. So in 2012, the UK Software Sustainability Institute sponsored a workshop. They called it the Collaborations Workshop, where a handful of people got together and said, you know what? There's this role out there. We're doing it. It goes by many titles. It goes by many different things, but we think it needs a name and we think it needs some recognition. So they coined the term research software engineer. And shortly after, that seemed to kind of resonate within their community. And by late 2013, they formed their UK-RSE with roughly 50 people or so. How it sort of ventured over to this side of the pond, two things happened simultaneously, literally simultaneously within a couple weeks of each other, in late 2017, early 2018. There was an international survey of RSEs, of which 175 people in the US responded. And one of the last questions, if not the last question on that survey, was, is there anyone who would like to help start a national community of research software engineers? 12 people responded to that. Yes. I think many, if not all of them, are in this meeting right now. And at the same time, the UK, seeing as this was becoming more of a thing there, sponsored an international leaders meeting, in which they sponsored 5 people to come over as US delegates, but they had people from mostly Europe, but also from Africa and South America. And kind of in the back of that room, I think, was where Slack was born, the Slack workspace. The first website went live in that time. And there's a lot of overlap here between the 5 and the 12, but these few people said, all right, we want to do something like this in the US. So for a while, it was just a few of us sitting around in Slack saying this should be a thing, and slowly putting together some higher level mission goals of what would an organization do, what would it look like, what are we trying to do here, and establish this first steering committee. So to remind everyone, what was this mission that we came up with? I think this is important to revisit every now and then. But the first off was we wanted to put together a community, right? So this is meant to be a professional network where people can share knowledge, connect with peers, share resources, provide a peer group for people at various stages of their career. So providing a place for students to connect, but also professionals, people leading groups. Advocacy, right? So we believe RSEs are very important. We believe the role is important. We believe that RSEs can have a critical and important impact on research. And so we want to highlight that impact, and we want to provide material and statements, things that can help this profession grow. You know, that's what a national organization of professionals should do. And finally, provide resources. So this could be information, materials. We want to support individuals, groups, people setting up groups, training at various stages of the career, providing an on-ramp to the career, keeping people in the profession, making it easier for people to set up groups, providing business justifications for RSE groups, things like that. And of course, this will evolve over time as to what the state and the landscape looks like. So as I mentioned, it started really early in 2018 with not a lot of people, not a lot of action happened in 2018. 2019 saw really a takeoff in this country. So what happened in 2019? We redid the website. We put in some more content. We got an official logo, obviously borrowing and inspired by the other national RSE associations, but uniquely to the US. Set up a Twitter account. We started sending out these bi-monthly newsletters, formal code of conduct so that we could have events and have some capacity by which to ensure that they were properly held. We did events at PERC 19 and at SC 19. This was largely introducing this association to the community. These were communities that many of us were familiar with, so it seemed like a natural place to start. We got a lot of good feedback, and that's when we started to see the tick in membership was when we started to spread the word. We got this funding from the Sloan Foundation. I'll talk more on that later, for an in-person workshop to really kickstart the organization. Unfortunately, COVID had other plans for when we were going to hold that. I'll talk about that in plans for 2021. And a couple really great new initiatives that started in 2019. So the syndicated blog, where if you're writing a blog, encourage you, add your blog to this, a place to go and read about RSEs. So if you're writing about RSEs, even if it's not all the time and you can have a way to tag it, you can syndicate your blog there, and it's a single source of place to go and read things. Probably most of you have seen this by now, but Vanessa and now her colleague Peter have put together this great podcast of stories of RSEs. I think this is a fantastic thing for the community, for people thinking about the career as a way to understand what it is and what we're doing. So thanks, Vanessa, for all the great things that you do on that. So what's happening now? We are still taking off, adding members every month. I think this was actually as of December 1st, and we might be over 600 at this point. We've added a lot of new members in the last couple days, which is really exciting. Clearly, we're on to something here. Where are people located? So we've got a little bit of an international flavor, not a lot. We certainly aren't restricting anyone geographically. Zoomed in a bit. Hopefully you can see your dot on here. We've got some hot spots, I would say, in the Bay Area and along the I-95 corridor in the Northeast. But really, we're doing pretty well. We're not in all 50 states. I think that could be a good goal for 2021, but we're getting there. So what's happened this last year? We did this virtual workshop in place of what was supposed to be the in-person one. It was a 2-day event we had in April. We had roughly 30 to 90 people at any one time. We divided into 3 sections. So we had the RSE landscape, where we talked kind of about what's going on in the community, not unlike a talk like this. We had some technical talks where we could share work we were working on, and then had some breakout sessions for what the association should be doing. There's a nice recap here. It's on the website. You can find it. Probably the easiest way is to go to events and then look at events archive, and you can find it right up there. The first 2 sessions have been on YouTube, which is where we're hoping to put the recording of this one as well. So yes, we have a YouTube channel with 4 subscribers. So, we're getting there. There's not a whole lot of content. It's just this for now, but as we look to be able to share more things with folks who can't be here, we plan to put more there. We had a workshop at PERC 20. That was quite successful as well. And SC 20 just happened. Again, these are 2 communities that we're familiar with, that looking to expand more. And then Source. So we've had a number of members be involved in various committees, have given presentations at Source, have been sharing sessions. If you haven't taken a look at it, take a look at it. There's really content kind of for everyone there, and it's been a great thing. The international community came together and said, since all our conferences, since all our workshops, since everything's been canceled, how about we try to do something online together? And it's been a few months now that it's been going. So probably the biggest thing from the association's perspective that we put together in 2020 was setting up a formal governance. And the thought here was, When it was 12 people sitting in a Slack channel, it wasn't really a big deal. But as we start to venture into the hundreds and hundreds of members, we want to set something up that's going to live beyond any one person, be any group of people, and just kind of put some guardrails on the organization just to keep it growing into the future and set it up for success. So this establishes a pretty basic governance. It provides some ability to enforce, say, a code of conduct violation. Drafted over many months. We spent some time doing it. We had a couple feedbacks from the community asking for suggestions, for comments, and officially, at the end of June, it became official. So it's not a hard read. In fact, I go back, it's in the GitHub repo or the GitHub organization under the documents repository. This is maybe a 3-minute read because it really isn't much. But just to highlight, we define the membership, which at this point is you fill out the form and you don't have any code of conduct violations, you're a member. We formalized the 9-person steering committee, and we've again, so when people approach and say we need a letter of collaboration or something like this, this can make decisions on behalf of the organization, ensure that things that are going on are indeed aligned with the organizational mission, and someone to just kind of own, for lack of a better word, the website, the domain name, the logo, Slack, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. The list seems to grow every few months. We define a few roles, so chair, vice chair, elected chair, and a secretary. And we decided to keep some continuity. We would stagger 2-year terms. So that's what we're here today to hear from the 6 fantastic candidates we have for the 4 open seats. So we will have a nomination, candidate statement, and this year 4 of these seats are up. We'll hear from the candidates later, and then next year there'll be 5. And we hope that by flip-flopping these 2, we'll be in a good place to provide some continuity as well as getting new members involved. So the steering committee, maybe arguably the most important part of the document is the fact that it can change. The steering committee can make minor changes, so small things. But if it's anything fairly major, we're going to make sure that the membership votes, because this is after all a community effort, and we think that this should reflect the desires of the membership. Other things have been going on. We started a regular session. Well, 2, but we're have a plan now for the future. We've canceled a couple just because of other events, but community calls. So this is a time for the community to get together and chat about a certain topic. And we're planning them for the 2nd Thursday of each month. Not the first, we had a few before, but the most recent one in the fall, we had hiring and interviewing for RSE positions. It was quite well attended and gave a chance for folks from 2 different sides of the hiring table to get together and discuss and ask questions. In October, we had the topic of diversity, inclusion, equity, and inclusion. And I'll talk about that in a second. So we took a break, and we'll be back on January 14th. So if you have an idea, if you have something that you're burning to bring and discuss, join the community calls channel in Slack. Bring it up. That's where there's a list. There's a Google Doc spreadsheet where you can put in ideas, and we can have votes and pick the top one. So if you're interested in kind of steering that, please join the community calls channel. You'll notice a trend. That's kind of how to get involved here, is you join the channel where we're discussing it and you're in. So as I mentioned, the DEI initiative. So this spawned, there were a handful of kind of passionate people about this who were interested in continuing the conversation that spawned out. So that this is now in the DEI discussion channel. A working group's been formed. There's a meeting next week to join. Everyone's welcome to join. We encourage you, if this is a topic you're interested in, not just in the meeting, but in the channel to discuss. So what we've been doing in there is sharing resources, things that people have found but also with a bit of a mission here to discuss and define perhaps what USRSE's role should be as a national organization. What should USRSE's role be in this space? So, early stages of discussion. We welcome everyone who's interested to join. This is something that's been around for a while, but I feel the need to mention it because it's exciting. I think it's a real service that we do for the community, and I want to make sure everyone's aware of it. So on the website under careers, we've got a job board, and in the Slack, we've got a jobs channel. Thanks to Vanessa for finding this number for me. We've posted 68 unique jobs in, hasn't quite been 2 years. As of yesterday is 25 current RSE openings. If you have jobs, if you come across them in your path, please send them along. It's exciting. Valeria was kind enough to say I could share this, but it works. I mean, it makes a difference, and this is something that we really want to see the community growing, people finding jobs from this. So encourage everyone, even if you're not on the job hunt, but you come across something, pass it along, and let's put it on there for somebody who maybe is looking. So congrats, Valeria. That's exciting news. Thanks for sharing. On the other topic of good news and congratulations, congrats to Vanessa, who we all know as V, for winning first place in the scientific software category for a topic about research software encyclopedia. It's exciting, and she was kind enough and generous enough to donate the prize to support USRSE community initiative. So congrats, Vanessa, and thanks. In terms of next steps, where do we see this going? So in the short term, so over the next year or so, obviously a lot of what we've been doing is trying to raise awareness, not just of USRSE, but in the same context of the research software engineer role, how it fits in research and its importance. So maybe the only thing on the calendar right now, at least of this magnitude, is the SciEM CSE 21. There's a mini symposium there where we'll be presenting. But listen, if you have a venue, if it's a group, if it's a institution, if it's an organization that you think might be the right venue to kind of bring this, let us know about it. I only speak for myself, but I'm more than happy to go and give a talk, especially now when I don't have to travel. It's super easy. I'm more than willing to say, just so you know, here's what USRSE is all about. And if you're interested, you can come join. But we want to spread the word. We want to let people know what it is we're trying to do here. So please keep us posted. And continue the monthly community calls. Again, join the Slack channel, community calls, pros of topic, help organize. We're excited to get people involved. With that, we're going to try to foster and encourage interaction. So this might mean special interest groups. A lot of these channels spawn, and there's been some recent ones about training and education, obviously DEI. There was one fairly recently about national labs. So if you're in a national lab and interested in connecting with others, that's a place to go. We see this evolving more and more as the membership grows of pairing people, connecting people who have similar interests. This is still in the early stages, but with ADSA, so the Academic Data Science Alliance, of putting together a career symposium. So these are two, let's say, on the newer side of careers within academia. So this would probably be academically focused, but targeting students to raise awareness and help them understand what careers and what career paths look like in both research software engineering and data science. Similar enough that it might make sense to pair together, but different enough that someone might be trying to decide between the two, and this could help them. You'll keep an eye out for that. Hopefully in next year soon we'll hear it. So I mentioned this before, the community building workshop. So it was originally planned for April. Unfortunately, that was just enough time to cancel before COVID was going to cancel it anyway. Special thanks to all the folks on the organizing committee. It was more than they bargained for, of having to organize it and then immediately try to make decisions and cancel it. So then it was postponed to October of this year. That obviously didn't happen either. And now it's scheduled for October of 2021. It'll be in Princeton, a nice place to come visit. We have this funding from Sloan Foundation to cover roughly travel expenses, to fully cover them for around 40 people. The focus will be on planning how to grow the association. So some of this will change. Obviously this was planned in maybe even mid 2019 was when we had said we need to grow the organization, and a lot of the things that we had planned at the time, stuff like the governance and putting together some of these resources, have since happened. So we'll evolve that. But really, we're not trying to do a conference here, a technical conference. This is about growing and developing the association. So some of these things in our plans and our future goals and mission of trying to accelerate some of those. Perhaps it's planning how to run a technical workshop conference. So expect more information, hopefully by early summer. Let's all cross our collective fingers that we can actually travel and get together by October. There's more information here. You can see this is just a screen grab, but most of the updates have been COVID related and having to cancel. But there's still some information about what the planned agenda at least was supposed to look like in April. And we'll be updating that as it gets closer. Also, something else I want to let you know that has been going on. So we've put together a International Council of RSE Associations. This is very new. The first meeting has actually been put on the calendar, or as they would call in the UK, on their diary. And this is the idea here is to bring together leadership from these various national associations. And there's 7 of them at this point that have kind of reached the maturity level of really being a thing. And the idea here is that we want to be able to coordinate and discuss things like international events, connect the leadership so that we're not reinventing the wheel over and over again. We can learn from each other, resolving conflicts should they come up. But also, I think that kind of global advocacy for the RSE role is just as effective as local advocacy. So, how we work together is going to just benefit everyone. So that's coming. I'm not sure how much there will be an update from that, but I wanted everyone to know it was happening. Second international thing that we're participating in is a survey. So as I mentioned early on, this was last run in 2018. It was a large part of forming US-RSE. We're planning to run it again in March, April of next year. And this will help us better understand not just RSEs in the world, but the US. Understand things like job satisfaction, job terms, contract terms, what kind of technical work they're doing. A lot of information. This is actually a pretty big survey. It is pretty time consuming. So we do need your help. When you see it, when you get it, please do it. My feeling is it's on the order of 20 to 40 minutes long. It'll take a while, but it's really worth it for the community. And share it as widely and broadly as you can. Last, but maybe not least, certainly not least, is the considering of pursuing a nonprofit status, so we have better capacity to handle things like money. As of now, it's had to funnel through one of our home institutions, which doesn't seem like a long-term solution. So this is something that has actually bumped up recently since the last time I gave a talk like this, from the long-term to now the short-term goals. Longer term, looking at, I think that there's interest and need for putting together an RSE conference. So some kind of event where we get people together who are doing this work that can share the work. I think professional societies, organizations should have a keystone conference by which they can get together and share and connect. Perhaps 2023. I've had that hashtag for a while now, and I'm sticking with it. I think we can make it. But also, and this is the map again, there's clearly some hotspots, so perhaps we can try to put together some regional or local events where people can connect in person, obviously once we can do that again, but a way that we can set up things. We're in a big country. Look, the UK has said that one of their advantages is everyone's in the same time zone and they're a train ride away. We don't have that, so perhaps this is something that the US needs to do specifically in order to, make this more meaningful. Also, considering, we think advocating this RSE is important, but what that program looks like, that's still a bit unknown, and obviously helping to develop careers is another program we'd really like to see set up. So please, we'd love to see you get involved. Where this goes really depends on two things: your ideas, what you want it to be, what we all want it to be, what the community needs and wants, but also who's willing to kind of help and get involved. This is a grassroots effort. It continues to be. I certainly don't want anyone to think that this is a top-down kind of approach. We put up those guardrails, and that's just to keep people on the street, but we want you to drive and enjoy and have fun. So please get involved. We've got lots of ideas, but in general, I think the answer is almost always yes. We want to give you an idea. Most of the stuff is happening in Slack. Please come there. I know not everyone checks Slack all the time, and I think that's fine, but it's a nice way that we can get people connected and chatting. So can you post in some channel? The answer is always yes. Please post there. Don't be shy. We encourage it. How about can create a channel? I'm interested in something and the channel doesn't exist. Yes, please go ahead. You don't need to ask permission. Go for it. Maybe write a quick note in random or general and say, I've created this channel for anyone who's interested. If people flock to it, you've got a good idea. If people don't, then maybe it needs a change or something different, but no reason not to do it. Can I start an initiative? I think this is important. I think USRSE should be involved. I think we should try to do something like this. Someone had brought up the idea of a journal club. Great, go for it. Absolutely. Please do. Can I organize an activity, an event? You know the answer, yes. They're always yes. Can I organize something? Absolutely. If you want some help, if you want some ideas, please feel free to reach out to any of us. You can tag SC or send it to contact@usrse.org, and we'd be glad to help and encourage. Is USRSE only for HPC, national labs, and universities? I had to put one in that was no. No, of course not. We're if you identify with research software engineer, then USRSE is for you. I think HPC, I think national labs and universities have had a head start on some of this. It's a lot of research happens at these, so it was a natural place, but it certainly is not exclusively to that. This was a question that came up, and so I wanted to address it ahead of time. Before I wrap up, I want to say something. So here's the list of current steering committee members. These are all folks who do this as volunteers. They're committing a lot of time. They're doing it because they believe in it. They're building something that takes a lot of thankless time and effort. And so, if we were in person, I would say give everyone a round of applause. Unfortunately, we're not. So you can do a thumbs up or a cheers. But really, these people have been there since the beginning, trying to turn this into what it is today. And they're a great team. And certainly, I've enjoyed working with every one of them. So again, here's a contact. Here's how to get a hold of this. Goes to all the steering committee members, or to tag @SC on Slack if you need to. Or again, I'll speak for myself, but you can always send me a direct message if you ever want to chat. So thank you. Certainly feel the need to thank the UK folks who kind of inspired and got us going. But everyone who's written a message in Slack, who's done something on the website, if you look at the contributors on the website, the list is a mile long, which is fantastic. I encourage you to find something that you're interested in and join. This is a picture that I took a while ago. I have a box of 2,000 stickers in my basement that is driving me crazy. Luckily, I did bring it home from the office. So if anybody really has a passionate desire for stickers, send me a note and I'll mail them to you. Otherwise, when we can get back in person, I'll be spreading them around eagerly. So with that, I have not been watching chat. So let me stop my share and see how many things have gone
So Ian, yeah, I had a look for
by, because I knew I wasn't going to keep up. But
no,
thanks
so
everyone, and I'm happy to answer questions.
so yeah, sorry for interrupting you, but yeah, that was, I kept an eye on it as we talked about it, and most of the questions I think we could already answer. There's nice discussions about, for example, so please write back to, for example, well, someone from Canada, if you're also from Canada and want to connect. So I think the last question with Latin America was answered. One question, and I'm not, so Bruce Wilson asked, what's a train? And you said something about a train in your
Oh yeah, I said that the UK can get on a train. Yeah, see, it's not going to work in this country.
Joking that we have no
Right.
train system. Most of the parts, my part of the country is a particular train desert.
Yep. We've got, that's why we have to come up with US solutions.
So another question was, no, so the vote, the election, you will get more information on the program, is that other people who can be elected will represent themselves. So no, you didn't miss the election. I think.
Yeah, so I don't remember, maybe Christina can jump in, when the election will open, but after the candidates have a chance to introduce themselves, we'll open the voting for a period of time and then close it and announce who's won.
Yep, the voting will open on the 13th, I believe, for a week, and you'll get emails about that. You've already gotten emails about that confirming your membership, but yes, we're going to meet the candidates for the steering committee seats that are open here shortly, unless we have other questions for Ian at this point about the presentation or the state of the US-RSE. Well, we'll have more time at the end too, if you think of things that come up later. And I want to thank Ian as well for being our chair. We drafted him into the leadership position, and he's been a very good sport about it, taking on a lot of extra leadership responsibilities, doing these types of presentations, keeping us all on track. He's really done a great job over the last year. Okay, so with that, we are turning to the topic of our first ever steering committee election. So yes, the 9 of us on the steering committee currently sort of just were around and volunteered and said, yes, we're willing to do this, but that's not how we want the community to go forward. So we are going to elect half-ish of the steering committee every year going forward. So we have 4 seats that are open this year for a 2-year term, and next year the other 5 of us who have never been elected will be, those seats will be up for election in a year from now. So we have 4 seats open, and we have 6 people who have volunteered as candidates for the election, and want to thank them very much for even doing the process of volunteering, because they've answered questions on the website about themselves, so you can get to know them a little bit. I'm going to put that link in the chat, and they have a few minutes here each to introduce themselves, let you know who they are, so that when you're voting, you have some idea who these folks are and what they would like to do as a member of the steering committee. So they were given the option, they could send a video, which I have for 3 of them, or they could share live. So any of those, the 3 of you, Greg, Chris, and Lance, if you're the live folks, if you want to go, you just let me know, you can go. Otherwise, I will play the videos and then we will get to you. Your choice.
I'm happy to go. Or Lance, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure.
Go, Lance.
Fine.
Go.
All right. Sounds good. So hi, everybody. I'm Lance Parsons. I'm a research software engineer in bioinformatics and a founding member of the US-RSE steering committee. I'm passionate about open science, open source software, and building a community that can effectively advocate for research software engineers. Like many RSEs I know, my path to this career wasn't very straightforward. I started pursuing an undergraduate degree in biology, and along the way, I got interested in computer science and programming. That led me to an IT position at Arizona State University. And while I was there, I eventually got my master's degree in computer science. After a lot of looking, I was thrilled to find a job that combined both my passion for programming and my interest in biology. And so over the last 12 years or so, I've been working at the Genomics Institute at Princeton University. I've had a variety of roles, from building infrastructure, developing and running analysis workflows, consulting and teaching students and postdocs. And while I generally love my job, I've been frustrated at times by the lack of opportunity for professional growth, and difficulty in getting recognition, funding models for RSEs, all things I think many of us have experienced. And so I first started organizing RSEs at Princeton by helping to start a local group there. It was great to be able to connect with people who were facing similar challenges from around the university. Getting to know other people in similar roles like that was really inspiring, and really helped give me a broader view of RSEs. It was great to see people in so many disciplines, not just the sciences and engineering, but also social sciences and humanities. So the connections I made through that group inspired me to volunteer for the initial steering committee of the USRSE here. And this being a part of the steering committee has really been a fantastic experience. I've gotten to know a lot of many amazing RSEs from around the country and even around the world. It's been great to be able to share my perspective and contribute to building this community. I've been an active member of the steering committee, meeting monthly to develop governance structure, organize workshops, community calls, plan initiatives. Recently, I've been increasing my efforts to encourage diversity in our community. I participated in a virtual USRSE booth at the Black in Physics Job Fair, and I've started organizing some regular meetings of the Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion Working Group, which, by the way, if you're interested in, join the DEI discussion channel on Slack, and our next meeting will be next Wednesday, December 9th at 4 o'clock. So you can find us over there, and I'll send you details. So seeing the growth of the USRSE and the attendance here today shows me that there's tremendous interest in this association and its core mission to support RSEs through community and advocacy. And while we have many plans to help the USRSE grow, my specific priorities for the next year are to promote and attract a diverse membership and to engage our members to participate in and lead initiatives. To diversify our membership and the RSE profession as a whole, we need to reach out beyond just the HPC and science domains into social sciences and humanities, and also reach people at different types of institutions, smaller colleges and universities, and RSEs that are outside of academia. Awareness of the RSE profession is also key, I think. Just connecting with various campus organizations to make sure students in all academic fields are aware that research software engineering is actually a viable career option. Once people become members of the USRSE, we need to engage them to participate in initiatives, forming working groups like the DEI group. I think provides some structure for new members so they can find others with similar priorities and get involved. As our membership grows, having discussion groups based around technical topics would provide others opportunities for connections. We could have groups based on specific research domains like digital humanities or bioinformatics, or more broad topics like software citation, workflow management, or managing RSE groups. And so to sum up, being a part of the USRSE and the steering committee over the past couple of years has really been a very rewarding experience. I've been honored to work with many talented and motivated RSEs to grow our community and build a sustainable organization. I'm thrilled to see we have so many qualified people willing to step up and volunteer to help shape and grow this association. And I'm excited to be a part of this organization, and I'd be honored to have the opportunity to continue to serve on the steering committee. Thank you. And then maybe Chris is probably next, I would guess.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
I can go next, or who else was on the list? Christina.
Oh, I don't know.
Greg as well.
Yeah,
You want to
you're
go?
welcome
Greg?
to go, Chris. Go for
Are
it.
you sure? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I'm Chris Hill. I head up research computing at MIT, and I kind of been helping start up the USRSE, working with Ian and Lance and Christina and everyone else for a couple of years now. My background is been working in software for more than 30 years, including kind of on the research side, mostly all the way through. And I've seen, how the kind of role of software and research has just exploded in the last decade, certainly as, more and more digital stuff becomes available, and how critical kind of software is to almost all the research enterprises that go on. MIT, where I work, is, big physical lab place, but all the physical labs now are, gathering their data digitally, and there's just a growing need, I think, for kind of a professionalization of the sort of role that supports this sort of stuff and enables this stuff, because there's just so much value that can be found from bringing that sort of professionalism together with the actual research needs. My interests in the US-RSE as an organization are really, very much about how do we kind of provide a space for people who like to do this sort of stuff to actually grow in a career that's really recognized. So I am interested in how we go forward to create really a sustained organization. So one of the things I'm kind of excited about, whether or not I'm on the steering committee, is trying to help the organization actually establish itself as kind of a legally independent entity, get views on how to do that, and then actually sort of enable making that happen, because I think it's time to do that. Very interested in growing the organization, finding membership, not just in academia, but in industry as well, and in the commercial sector, and have been active in trying to do that. I do quite a bit of work with various regions in the New England area, which are kind of economically disadvantaged, and have been active bringing in community college folks into this sort of community at various levels, and I've very much enjoyed doing that. So I think an organization like US-RSE can really help with that. One of the reasons I'd like to try and turn it into more of a legally recognized independent thing is to enable us to actually then bring in resources to support bringing in people from broader backgrounds than maybe we have at the moment. So and then the other piece of things I'm really interested in is around just developing a kind of educational and professional skills curriculum that is recognized by employers around the country, really. And I've been doing some work on that, and I would look forward to doing more of that as part of the steering committee. So those are some of the areas I'm interested in, but I'm also I just love hearing the stories as well from everybody who does this sort of stuff, learning about how they came into the field, what they're doing. It's just a great area to be working in. So that's my kind of general background.
All right, thank you. And then we have Greg.
Alrighty, yeah, thanks. So I'm Greg Watson, and appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I'm group leader of the application engineering group at Oak Ridge National Lab. And actually it was some of the members of that group that encouraged me to join and nominate for this position. So I've got them to blame for this. But I've been a software engineer for over 35 years. The last 20 of which I focused on research software engineering after I got my PhD. So, I have quite a lot of experience in actually doing that type of software engineering. I've also been involved in quite a number of non-profits over the years. I was president of the Internet Society of Australia for a while. I also worked with the Australian Domain Authority, the Outer Foundation, and more recently, I've been involved with the Eclipse Foundation, and I'm also chair of the IEEE Computer Society Schenectady section. So I have quite a diverse background in non-profits and volunteer organisations. And so figuring out connections between those organisations is one area that I think, would be a good thing to pursue for the US-RSE and something that I could bring. At the lab, we're going through a transformative period at the moment. We're having an internal reorganisation, but it's a really great opportunity for myself and other members of the software engineering community to promote the principles of software excellence throughout the lab. And that is also, there's this broader movement as well, I think, right across the software industry, in the scientific computing community, about recognizing software as, or the importance of software and its relationship to scientific discovery. And so, I think that there's a great opportunity to make improvements in that area. But what I've found at the lab particularly is there's a lot of questions, lots of issues and concerns that need to be addressed before we can really get the culture to change. And that's really what we're trying to do at the lab. And of course, cultural change is probably the hardest thing you can possibly do in an organization. So I'm really hoping that by becoming more involved in the RSE community, it will help me personally how to create that change that we need at the lab. So I would really like to be able to share the experiences that we have and our ideas with other people. So, again, engaging with a community like US-RSE is a really important way to do that. But also I want to learn from others' experiences as well. And I think, you can only do that by getting out and talking to people and finding out how they're doing things and what works and what doesn't work. So organizations like this are incredibly valuable in creating these cultural changes, I think. Personally, I'm interested in becoming involved and helping define and build a new organization. It's a very exciting thing to do. I've done that in a number of different forums, as I mentioned. So being able to, influence the direction and help determine, what sort of resources and information and things that might be beneficial to the broader community is a great experience and a great thing to do. Like Lance, I'm very focused on diversity, and I've really been driving that at the lab in software engineering, and that's been a high priority for me. And we've been looking at how we can recruit more diverse workforce and what other opportunities like unconscious biases and things like that can affect the diversity of our employees. And I noticed that there are two current steering committee members, female ones, which is great to see, because in software engineering, getting anybody except men has always been problematic. So at the risk of kind of disqualifying myself from the position, I would definitely be looking at ways that we can encourage a more diverse participation in an organization like this. But, regardless of what happens, I'm definitely going to be more involved in this community. I look forward to meeting with people and learning from, your experiences and hopefully sharing some of my experiences as well. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Greg. All right, for the other three candidates, we have a video. So what is happening? Sorry. Okay, looks like it's going to share, so I'm going to play those now.
My name is Demerol. I'm a scientific software engineer at Arizona State University, where I lead a group of mostly student workers that develop software for historians of science. I have a degree in software engineering from University of Applied Sciences in Germany and a PhD for my dissertation on computational history and philosophy of science. I co-organized DH Tech, a community of people doing technical work in the digital humanities, which we founded about 3 years ago, and we have about a little over 100 members by now. I'd like to be on the US-RSE steering committee because, first of all, I'm very passionate about research software engineering. Studying software engineering, I was taught good practices of software design and development. but my experiences in academia in regards to software development best practices have been a little underwhelming, to say the least. And yes, things have gotten better, but I think there's still a long way to go, and I'd like to help. Also, like many, if not most RSEs, I'm faced with the difficulties of not having a clear career path, having only few funding opportunities and issues like that. And I want to help change that. I want to advocate for RSEs, and I want to help grow our community. Last but not least, coming from the digital humanities corner of the RSE world, I'd like to make sure that the digital humanities are part of the conversation. When I first joined the RSE community, it often felt like the digital humanities were not really present. This has changed, but I think we can still do better, and I'd like to help connect the digital humanities folks with the general RSE community. So yeah, vote for me.
Okay, one more or two more. Oh. Okay, next one.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. My name is Jung Jong, and I'm a computational scientist with a PhD degree in computational.
We don't have the right screen necessarily, unless this is just audio.
Computer sciences.
Okay, 1 second. Let's try that again. Share screen, share sound, share. Is that better? I'm seeing.
Looks good.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep closing my chat every time. Okay, now we're seeing it. Let's try playing that again.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. My name is Jung Jong, and I'm a computational scientist with a PhD degree in computational chemistry and also a Master of Science degree in computer sciences. My experience has been in high-performance computing, and most recently on machine learning and also on quantum computing. I have been a developer of several of the large-scale computational chemistry packages, including Andalochem, Columbus, and also one of the quantum Monte Carlo packages. Some of the recent work I have been focused on, including a ECCS fellowship project, working on porting Andalochem to some of the new architectures, as well as understanding the performance and scaling bottlenecks of Andalochem. Another project I've been working on includes porting machine learning projects to the new machine learning architecture, new Cortex, recently acquired at Pittsburgh Supercomputing Center. I also work on development of quantum computing algorithms, besides supporting a large number of users at Stanford across many different areas. I'm a Qiskit advocate for the IBM quantum experience. Qiskit is IBM's software development platform for quantum computing algorithms. I'm also a NVIDIA Deep Learning Institute ambassador. I'm certified to teach most of the instructor-led workshops on machine learning at NVIDIA. And I'm also certified to teach their CUDA courses. Some other relevant experiences included working for 10 years as a computational coordinator for the NSF National Science Foundation NNIN project. It's an infrastructure network for nanostructure research. So that's my background, and as a member of the steering committee, I would like to focus on several aspects. All the three aspects more or less related to the network kind of model. Since we are a community, we are a network of universities and other research institutions. I think a network model will be essential for our success, not just as individual researchers and software engineers, but also for better supporting our community. We can share our expertise and resources as a network. So one thing I would like to do is to develop workshop activities across the network, focusing on different subjects related to software engineering in science and engineering. So the other aspect is to explore a model for network of resources and expertise. So we work together and share our expertise in supporting each other, as well as supporting our community, supporting the science at different places. So since we all have our own expertises, but nobody knows all the things we need to support our community. So as a network, we will be able to do a lot more than just as individuals. So that's how to develop a model with a network to share our resources will be essential to our success. So the other aspect is, again, related to network activities. We'll try to explore different funding mechanisms, either from public agencies or from private stakeholders, how to obtain funding to support our activities and also support personnel, for example, like supporting fellowships for students and other young generations of professionals who work as future research software engineers. So that's a brief introduction to my background and the things I would like to do in the next few years as a member of the steering committee. I thank you very much for your support, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to working with you together on these issues. Thank you.
Okay, now one last one. Let me switch this out. All right, last we have Dion.
Hello, I'm Dan Katz. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm interested in being part of the steering committee for the US-RSE Association. I've been working as an RSE since 1994, long before the name existed. I started working in computational electromagnetics as a PhD student and then continued that work at Cray Research on-site at Jet Propulsion Laboratory. While I was there at Cray, I started also working in ocean modeling and in visualization. And later at JPL and also at LSU, University of Chicago, and now University of Illinois, I continued to expand my work into different fields and techniques, things like physics, astronomy, computer science, earth science, material science, and engineering. I've also been building workflow systems since about 2006, originally Swift and now Parcel and FuncX. And I managed RSEs at JPL, a group of RSEs, as well as at University of Chicago and University of Illinois. And I'm still excited by research software engineering, both doing it when I can and supporting it. Research software engineering, I believe, enables a huge amount of scholarly research, and the field and the people who do it need to be supported. So, as I said, I've been developing software for about 30 years, and I've consistently seen my software contributions and those of others under-recognized. And I think this makes it harder for people to write and share and maintain good software without good incentives to do so. And so I started trying to change things in 2013 when I was at NSF as a rotator. I co-organized the WSPE series of events working towards sustainable software for science, practice, and experience. And I began working to emphasize software and to create opportunities for RSEs and NSF programs, both ones that I ran as well as ones where I had some influence. And I started blogging about software. At the same time, I learned about the RSE title, and I joined the UK RSE organization, attended the UK RSE conferences, and got involved in the international RSE movement. In 2017, when I was working as one of 2 people on the US part of the International RSE survey, I added 2 questions to find people who are interested in starting a US or RSE organization. And I believe this is one of 2 things that led to the current US-RSE, which I co-founded and have been on the steering committee of from the start. Within the US-RSE Association, I've worked on the website, on documentation, community calls, and workshops, and I'm a co-PI on our Sloan Foundation Award for a community building workshop that was originally supposed to be in April of this year, but has been delayed because of COVID, as well as on international collaborations. I've also co-founded related projects and organizations, the Research Software Alliance, or RISA, and the US Research Software Sustainability Institute, or RSE Conceptualization Project. And I've been working to promote software and developers through software citation and software sustainability. And the software citation work included as a Better Scientific Software Fellow. So I want to be on the US-RSE Steering Committee because I think we've made good progress in US-RSE, particularly in community membership. We've gained 35 people just in November, and I think we're continuing to grow. But we have more work to do. And I want to be involved in guiding that work and understanding what the larger RSE community wants the association to help with as well. So there's 6 specific things that I'm interested in doing. One is continuing to grow the community. A second is encouraging more members to take up more leadership roles, moving from just being active members to contributing to the website potentially, to maybe leading community calls, to maybe leading working groups, to being on the steering committee or other things like that. I'd like to increase the diversity of our membership as well as the diversity of the membership of the RSE community as a whole. I want to increase the recognition of those who perform software work in universities and labs. I plan to study, document, and publicize different models for RSE groups and universities so that new groups have an idea how they can structure themselves and why they might want to pick a particular structure based on their particular context. And finally, I want to work with other national RSE organizations in collaborative activities to promote research software engineering, and this includes through the new International Council of RSE Associations. So thank you for listening, and I hope to have your support.
Okay. Those are our 6 candidates. They also have shared information on the website, sticking that link in there again in the chat. The election starts in about a week. You will receive an invite to vote a ballot on a site called Election Buddy. You'll get an email and every member gets 1 chance to vote. The voting system is that you'll be asked to rank order the candidates, and it will use a single transferable vote rule to translate your rank preferences into choosing who the 4 are who are elected to the next term on the steering committee. If you have questions about the election or you have questions for the candidates, there is an election channel on Slack. You can always let me know as well. I can forward things on or answer questions about the election. All right, I think that is the end of our election part of the meeting. Ian, or I'm looking at Sandra, do we have next part, or is that next part the questions for our participants here?
Well, I think the next part is really question for the participants, but I didn't see anything in the chat. So if somebody wants to ask questions.
Yeah, any questions about the election procedure, what's going on? Not for the candidates, that can happen in the elections channel, but.
I'll just mention that there is a web page that has all of the things Christina mentioned. I think, I don't know whether for anyone who.
Yep, the link is in the chat, and it's one of the, if you go to the main page of our website, it's the first or second, I think, posted item of our news if you scroll down.
So then it's what, December the 13th to something, yeah?
To the 19th. I have set it on Hawaii time, so hopefully we get everyone who's in the US up to the last minute to vote. You'll get the initial email and up to one reminder, since we like to keep email communications limited from this organization as much as possible. When I'll post on Slack when the ballots go out, if you don't see yours for some reason, let me know, we'll sort it all out. But if you've gotten emails if you had joined by October, I sent out membership verification emails to make sure everyone knew who was a member and what email I had for them. And we're adding any of the additional members who have joined since then as well. You also get a ballot, but you may not have gotten the verification email because you joined after it. All right, so the next part of our program then is questions. And so I think we did not have any submissions of questions before the meeting, but you're happy to ask. We're happy to take questions in the chat now, but we also want to ask all of you a few questions to get something going here. So I have that part of this meeting as well. So in the chat, there is a link, or you can go to menti.com and put in this code 9342677 and join in our poll here to learn a little bit about what everyone here, all the members, would like to get out of the organization after we cover the fun stuff to start, as in what is on your feet.
Wait, Christina, I guess we've got the code at the top. That link.
Yep, I will copy this.
I think the link you sent was for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go. Oh, sorry, I copied the URL. Sorry, I'm going to menti.com and we're going to use code 9342677. Use this as a way to learn something interesting about our audience and give everyone a chance to get connected. Oh, I can't vote. I've got a blanket on mine on top of my socks. I stole my son's fuzzy blanket. It is now my desk blanket. Hopefully somebody wearing sandals is somewhere where it's warm enough that you are able to do that. I'm jealous about that. Ah, Chris has got the dog on his feet.
It's going to be important that we do this every year to see how the trend changes.
Yeah, it might change a little bit. I think we'll have a few more shoes if we're all back in the office in a year. All right, it looks like we've gotten most people connected, and most people are in a comfortable foot situation, which is great. Although I know some people, like my husband, like to wear shoes in the house as well, or maybe you're actually in the office. All right, let's go on to the next question. Another hard-hitting one here. What are you doing during this meeting? And this question does allow people to submit multiple answers. So if you're triple or quadruple multitasking, I don't blame you. It's all right. I said it in our email earlier. Does coffee count as eating? Oh, I didn't put drinking on here. Vanessa on her treadmill, we have seen that in calls before. Not seeing the results. Well, the results show up in the screen share here in Zoom. I don't think they show in the screen that you vote in. I think the results are only here in Zoom. Salad for lunch. I had salad for lunch too after a week of turkey leftovers. Like I need some salad. All right, so we've got 15 people paying attention, which is more than the number of people on the steering committee. So good job there. It's encouraging. Email, eating lots of coding, not surprising for this group. Something else. I kind of wonder what is going on with the something else. We had walking as a something else. Yeah, I don't know what else is going on there. We have nobody watching videos, so that's good. At least we're getting some attention. All right, next question. How have you benefited from the US-RSE Association so far? And on this one, if you do have something else, we'd love to hear in the chat of what it is. So something else of emailing HR about the jobs page, which is great. So they know to post there. Being interviewed by Vanessa for the podcast. It's another good something else. Does this one not show what's going on here? Maybe I'll show the results after everyone votes. Yeah, I think I have to go to the next slide before it shows the results for this one. I must have had the wrong setting. Just knowing that RSEs are a thing. Yep, that's one of our things. Sort of gave me a name for a role or a career. All right, let's see if I can go to the results. Oh, hold on. There we go. I don't know why it didn't load, but here we go. We've got some results. So a lot of people have found useful resources, which is great, and participated in events. And this is an event today. So if you didn't check that one, you are participating in a US-RSE event. So we can get that one up there. Found names, met others. So that's great. We hope to facilitate more in-person meeting when that's healthy and safe for everyone to do. All right. So now, what would you like to see the US-RSE do in the next year? So again, we're sort of focused on maybe the short term here. What can we do in 2021, which I can't believe I have to say 2021. It's, I don't know, getting me more than 2020 for some reason. What are things you'd like to see us do in the next year? Yep, and Sandra pointed out 2 people find a job through the association and the job board in the last year, which is great. I think that's an area that's really taken off, seeing more jobs posted there and have that be a place that people look for their jobs. Interpretive dances for next year's steering committee candidates. Well, have to see who the election chair is next year. Maybe they can change the criteria. I hope not, though, seeing it's not to be a candidate next year. Collect case studies of RSE career paths, promote groups at universities, broaden membership, help management understand why RSEs are important, local groups, technical meetings to share experiences. That's something that on that list of things that Ian had up at the end of his presentation of, can I do this? The answer is yes. You have a technical topic or something that you're interested in talking to others about, welcome to start that group. Or also, everyone on the steering committee is happy to help people get initiatives going as well. Software citations, a lot of local associations. And so again, that's a place where we'll be looking to everyone in the membership to take a lead in starting local groups. There's only so many of us, not at every university, so happy to help you do that. If I missed anything, and community calls, undergraduate student involvement, yep, DEI. All right. Industry based. Yeah. So, and again, we're encourage all our members to invite others to join the association. So there's people that you know about, even just cold emails. I've sent a few of those to people who look like they might be RSEs, inviting them to the group. That's always great. Start a journal. It's an ambitious one. All right. Go on to the next question here. What is one thing that the USRSE Association could do to help you in your career? So thinking more about your personal experiences here and maybe a little bit longer term, since I'm sure we can't do everything immediately, but what are some of the things that would be helpful as the association grows? Okay, training for leadership and management positions, promote the research part of software engineering. Let me understand how to better present what my team does. That's one where if you'd like to present to a community call or at some of the events we've organized at conferences, I think there's some good opportunities there.
Yeah, there's a discussion going on parallel to this in the National Labs channel that I think may percolate into a community call topic.
Great. Advocating for the role of RSEs, building stronger connections and networking, breakout rooms, different funding models. Dan talked about that a little bit earlier about studies of group models and how they might be funded or structured. Sorry, it keeps blinking on me. Opportunities for students going out into the world. Yeah, and Ian mentioned we're trying to organize something with Academic Data Science Alliance, focused at students specifically about what careers exist for RSEs and data scientists in academia. Help RSEs get recognition, publish standards, guidelines, training material, certifications. Just anything here on the networking. Training, for those of you who are putting training as, there's one of those training for leadership and management, but other training ideas, something to start a discussion about on Slack too and see what it is that would be helpful. Be great there. All right, one more question. I'm gonna switch it over to what all of you can do to help the association in the next year. So we've already seen some great ideas coming up. Discussions on Slack about community call topics, sort of our little nudge here to say, what are you going to do as part of our organization in the next year? And we have ideas on our website, lots of ideas from, one-time easy commitments to, ongoing things such as those who have volunteered to be on the steering committee, lots of things in between. Share event announcements, bring in more members. Yeah, spreading the word is great. You guys keep doing what I am doing. I'm guessing that one was Vanessa, who's, done a lot with our website and the podcast. We hope that she does continue to do that. Voting in the election is great. Yep, those who are continuing to be on the steering committee, creating more materials. And keeping up in Slack, starting a local group. I understand, yeah, it does sound scary. I think it's a very, very doable thing, and starting in Slack is a good place to start. Again, if anybody would like help with that, please reach out to the steering committee on Slack. You can get all of us with @SC, or even if you just post on the general channel, we follow it. We'll follow up with you. We'll see something there. And happy to discuss ways to make that happen. A Denver Boulder area meetup. Yes, when COVID is over, that's great. Local events. Reach out to Spanish speaking. Yep, so there was something in the chat there too. If you need help getting connected to the UK RSE Slack, again, ping somebody. There's folks here who know how to get you connected there, where I think there's a discussion about Latin American groups and spreading the word.
Yeah, there's an effort underway to translate the International RSE Survey into Spanish to try to connect people. Obviously, any language, but that's happening, and it will. And I don't know if there's a plan to try to connect Spanish-speaking RSEs as a result of that, but there certainly could be.
Great. All right, that is all of our questions and thanks. We'll keep these results and use that as we're planning for the new year once we have new members elected to the steering committee. And that's my portion. Ian, you want to take it back over?
Actually, I was going to hand it back to Sandra, but this is sort of the end of the formal part of the meeting, and an opportunity if there is a discussion topic or question that hasn't been answered, turn the floor over. Sandra, do you want to?
So it looks like that all the questions are answered. And really speak up if I have overlooked something. I looked in the Slack channel, I looked here at the chat. There were nice comments. And thank you all very much for all your feedback on the question. So if you have topics you would like to discuss now, we have a little bit more time. A question to any of us about US-RSE or further things, or creating a Slack channel directly for your topic, we can all do that now. Okay, so I don't see anyone typing. I don't hear something. So, okay. Now it comes in, or it was my internet Wi-Fi a little bit too slow. So someone mentioned instrumentation as a topic. I'd love to chat to that person. Okay. Follow up on citation for software. So Dan, would you like to say a little bit more about citation on software?
Sorry, you caught me both coding and chatting at the same time.
We have Ron would like to follow up on a citation for software. Yes.
Right. So I guess the easiest thing to do is that there is a Force 11 group that has about 50 or 70 people in it that's been working on this for about 5 years. And if you want to join that group, that would be great. I'm not completely sure that it makes sense for USRSE to do something separate on its own. But if you think that there is something that we would do that would be different than a different part of the community, that would be it'd be interesting to talk about that and understand what that would be.
Is it okay if I hello? Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, how are you? So yeah, I guess like kind of what I will definitely check on what they're doing. I think one thing that I've kind of been aware of lately is like, you know, like I'm a big advocate for open science, you know, like a lot of my, most of the projects that I work on are MIT licensed. I think one of them is GPL licensed. And you know, like I think it's great, but you know, one of the things I've kind of been aware of is like that, you know, just that licensing model. I'm not sure if it's really sufficient to ensure, you know, credit in an academic process. Like for example, you know, like one of like you're compliant, like say, you know, say a research project that's MIT or GPL license is incorporated into another project. You know, like legally it's sufficient to have like just, you know, like basically that header in there, you know, the MIT GPL header, like buried deep within the code. But, you know, it's like, does that ever really make it out into, you know, into the literature or like in, you know, in significant ways to spread the word, you know, if the individual contributors in the source code is there, it's legal, but how does that really make it become visible in the larger world?
Yeah, so the kind of quickish answer to this is we've gone through some discussions about this before, and we feel like the way to get people to do this is through the through kind of the academic culture system and not through a legal license. So we're working with a variety of journals to get them to put in instructions to their authors and their reviewers saying, you must cite the software you use. So there, you should see, actually, you should start to see more news about this and more changes in the next, you know, a couple of months to year. It seems like that's a more kind of effective leverage than trying to say, if your code isn't cited, then you can sue the person that used it and didn't cite it, which doesn't seem like it's going to be as productive to me.
Oh, agreed. Certainly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the way we've chosen to try to work on that.
Thank you both. Oh,
I was
sorry.
just going to make a comment on that. I think, Dan is being his usual modest self. I mean, JOSS, the Journal of Open Source Software, Dan has been very active in creating that, which is actually, I think, a very interesting model for sort of addressing some aspects of this. So, that's something that everyone should be aware of. And there are a couple of other activities like that.
Okay, cool. So, Randall, you mentioned instrumentation. Would you like to say a couple of words more by instrumentation and why you would like to chat about it?
Oh, hi, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm a research assistant at Oregon State University doing radar data acquisition. I've done stuff with, I've done a number of different instrumentation data acquisition type systems in the past in other jobs. And I think that that's what I get into, with and systems integration of software and hardware. And, it seems like there's, rightly so, a large focus of US-RSE is people doing what to me is stuff way out there, HPC and computational stuff that's way over my head. So I don't know, I think, but it sounds like there's at least some of us who are maybe, more interested in stuff that has to do with software, hardware integration, data acquisition. And so maybe it'd just be a good starting point. Maybe we could just start a channel on Slack and start discussing some of the things that we do with that. I don't have much more to say than that, other than, oh, looks like Brett Graham made an instrumentation channel. Great. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I guess that's all I have to say, but thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that is great. So we have already directly a channel for discussions. This shows, yeah, it's how Ian said it at the beginning. Are you interested in a topic? Make a channel, get more people interested. And this is a really great example because directly in the Zoom chat, there were 4 or 5 people directly. Yes, I would like to discuss it. We have the channel now. So any topic, feel free, post it in general channel like, oh, I've created this topic, who would like to join me for these discussions? So these are, I think, the topics which are really great and have the community to dig deeper into discussions and exchange of experiences and ideas. So I would give it now back to Ian because I think if there are no further
we can wrap
topics,
things up and everyone knows where to get in contact with us and each other on Slack is the place to be. So listen, thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for joining our first of what we hope to be a continued tradition of early December, an annual general meeting where we can get together and connect as a community. But we look for lots more opportunities when the community calls in Slack. If you have topics that are interesting, please share them there and we can get them included in the newsletter in general. But thanks everyone for your contributions to the community, and we look forward to a great 2021. So thanks again, and see you on Slack.